Sun's up, I'm smiling slow. Pour that brew, let the blessings flow. Steam rising, faith on 10. Here we go again. Take a sip, take a breath. Ain't no rush, no stress. Got the good book by my side, and that peace I can't hide. Me, Jesus, and my coffee. That's all I need to start my day.
I can't lie, I feel blessed. I can't lie, I feel blessed. I can't lie, I feel blessed. I'm trying not to be too hard on myself, placing God over wealth, placing time over vanity. I'm thankful for my health. I know I played the game a couple ways. I'm trying to find my wave. I know I made mistakes that I can't change, can only change my ways. So all in all, my heart is pure, my thought is sure, my mind is open. Another chapter in the book, ain't got no time to close it. But I ain't rushing through a moment in this journey. Ain't discussing what I know, just what I'm learning. Trying to grow, I hope you heard me and don't hold me to my past thoughts. We pass time with fine wine and lemon lime talk. Raise a glass.
Did you guys know that there was a term called sheltered homeless? I just learned this yesterday. Previously on Beautifully Broken. This is not the first time our life has been packed up and put in a 12 by 12. My husband and I have lost and gained several times in our 27 years together. Welcome in. Hey guys. Welcome to our deluxe queen kitchenette at Extended Stay. It is a fully functioning kitchenette. It is my quote unquote studio. I wanted something to give us a little division between spaces. So now that you are all caught up, I kind of struggled with where I wanted to begin my story. Did I want to start from where we are now and go back, or start at the beginning and make my way to where we are now? I believe the Spirit wants me to tell it from the beginning. And I don't mean the beginning as in childhood, even though it does begin there. But I think the story is centered more around my husband and I journey together. So in the last video, the very last clip was, we were sitting in my bedroom at the time. I believe we were watching Three's Company and we were eating bologna sandwiches, and my husband proposed to me. He didn't have a ring at the time, and it didn't matter. Let me go back just a little bit. When I met my husband, I went to a barbecue party, and it was my girlfriend getting me out of the house because I had actually the day before, I had just gotten out of a relationship. And I'm not going to even say gotten out of, because I just came home one day and he wasn't there. So my girlfriend wanted to get me out. There is where I met my husband. And I just remember through the night, he followed me around like a little puppy, and I thought it was so cute. Long story short, 6 months later, we were married. Things happened very quickly, very quickly. We had our youngest daughter a year later. Of course, life began. Shortly after, he got a job working for the post office, and it was a seasonal job. So when the position, or when the season was over, they didn't bring him back. And this is when, shortly thereafter, he started to work for Dish Network. Things were going fine. We got our own place, and I remember it this way, and he may say differently, but I know that they had went out of town. They actually came to Georgia to do some work in Georgia. And I remember him calling me and saying, babe, what do you think about moving to Georgia? And the first thing out of my mouth was no. I had never been anywhere. I don't even think I've been out of the state yet. And, of course, like I said, my first answer was no. I was like, the only family I have is my mom and my brother. And even though my brother was doing his own thing, my mom at the time was staying with me. And she was the first person that I thought of, because I knew that she was not going to want to move. And I knew that I couldn't move if she didn't come with me. I shared with my husband my concerns, and he shared with me how his job was basically making it so easy. The transition to move from Chicago to Georgia, they were basically taken care of. My husband had already found a place, and it was just left up to me to say yes and convince my mom to move with us. I did. and we moved to Georgia. And this was back in 2002. We moved down here. My mom stayed with us. I don't even think it was 6 months. She did not like it here. She said there were too many trees here. When we first moved here, we stayed in Peachtree City. There was no public transportation in Peachtree City. My mom was used to being able to get up and go. She didn't like it. She said, again, there were too many trees and nothing for her to do, in which I totally understood. So she ended up moving back. So we stuck it out. At the time, of course, my children were all young and my husband was doing well enough to where I didn't have to work. So I stayed at home and did the mom thing while my husband did everything he could to take care of us. And he did. Until 2008, 2009, when that recession hit. My husband lost his job with Dish Network. And I want to say this is where that was the first time. Well, the second time, because the post office, he was laid off. But for this time, he was let go at no fault of his own. And that has been the story of all of my husband's jobs. We tried to hang on as long as we could. I tried to get a job and I did, but it just wasn't enough to sustain us. After Dish Network, he got a job working for Brinks. The one thing that I truly have to commend my husband for, and the one thing that he has been so fortunate with, he may be down for a little bit, but he always seems to find a job. So let go from Dish Network, he gets a job at Brinks. Not too long after that, he got let go from Brinks. But we tried to hang on as long as we could here in Georgia, okay? By this time, we're living in Jonesboro. We got down to the point where, we were not able to pay our rent. We were slowly just going down, that hole. And after Brinks, my husband just could not find a job. And again, what I found just wasn't enough to sustain us. So we had to make a difficult decision. And I will never forget this. My husband came to me and said, babe, we're going to have to go back home. And I said, well, how are we going to do that? We've gone through all of our savings. We don't have the money to move. I was thinking about everything that would have gone into us moving, and I knew that we didn't have it. So my husband came to me and said, we're going to have to sell everything. I have never wanted to ever hit my husband, but when he said that, I wanted to hit him. And I don't know if it's just that I wanted to hurt him. It was what he told me that I didn't want to hear, because everything we had in our home, I had prayed over. And because when we were doing well, we were on one income. Everything that I purchased for the home, if I couldn't get it when I wanted it, I prayed over it. And I was, and I would say, God, if this was meant to be ours, it'll be ours. So every piece in our home had a story. And I felt that God had given it to me. And when my husband came to me and said, we're going to have to sell everything, I was so mad at God. I was furious and I questioned him. And I said, how could you take these things away from us? And you gave them to us. I called a girlfriend at the time. She's that friend that I went to when I needed to hear the truth. I needed her to say what needed to be said. And so I'll never forget, I went in our garage at the time and I leaned up against my washing machine and I called my girlfriend and I was crying. And, I told her, my husband said that we got to sell everything, we got to move back home. And, I told her, I said, everything in here has a story. These are all things that God gave me. Why is he taking these away from me? And she listened to me pour out my heart. And she simply said to me, she said, Dee Dee. So this is what my friends call me. She said, Dee Dee. I said, yeah. She said, you still have your husband, right? I said, yes. You guys are doing okay, right? I said, yes. You still have your children? I said, of course. You guys are healthy? I said, yeah. She said, then you're not losing anything. She shut me up. It took me a moment, but I had to pray. I had to pray. And number one, I had to ask for forgiveness because when I questioned God, I was so mad. And once the decision was made, once I was at peace with the decision that was made, at the time I was a part of Atlanta Church of Christ. So I told some of our friends, hey, we have to move and I'm basically going to have an open house. I went around everything in my home, and the first thing I did was exorcise myself from each piece. I let them go, and I put a price point on them. Needless to say, we sold enough to be able to get us home. So now, 2009, we're back in Chicago. I'm going to stop there because I don't want this to be too long. So I'll catch up with you guys on day 3.